AITA for making a joke about my brother's divorce. Throwaway, my wife, Elle, and I have been married for a year now. Back in the day, Elle worked as a sports model. Her job required her to meet a very rigid beauty standard and look a certain way. She was always on a strict diet and was severely underweight. Since then, she's gained a healthy amount of weight and is much happier. My brother, Chris, is wealthy, like extremely wealthy. He's done well for himself and seems happy about where he is in life. He's just got out of a nasty divorce with his ex-wife and has asked to stay with me for a few weeks as he moves into his new place. Chris, to put it simply, has a type. He believes that every woman should subscribe to his type. Any woman who doesn't fit his preference is automatically ugly and unlovable. He wants all women to conform to his standards. Hell or high water. 2 days ago, Chris found some of Elle's old magazine covers and commented on how beautiful she was back then. It's a harmless comment, sure, but he kept bringing up how much she's let herself go. I mean, kept bringing it up. Elle goes for a run every evening, and as she was heading out the door, Chris told her to run fast enough to lose all the flabby bits. She rolled her eyes and laughed it off, but I told him to shut up. The next day, when Elle went to the gym, he told her to make sure to return to her old figure. Again, I told him to shut up and stop fixating on my wife's body. Despite all his comments, Elle is a little unfazed by all of it. She says that she's used to it. By the end of the day, I was completely exhausted from listening to him. I was at my end. But Elle again brushed him off with a smile and with a laugh. When Elle served him food, he made a joke about paying for her tummy tuck so that I can marry the right version of Elle. That comment set me off. I told him that his wife married the wrong version of him, and to pack his shit and leave my house. He did not take kindly to this, and complained about how insensitive I was to his situation and how I made a low blow. He eventually left, but Elle tells me that I could have kicked him out without the comment. AITA. Story 2. AITA for telling my sister-in-law her daughter's name isn't Irish. I'm Irish. My husband is American. We live in the US currently but met back in Ireland. His sister has always been obsessed with my accent, my name, and the fact that her brother married a real Irish person. She and her husband had a baby very recently, a little girl. My sister-in-law excitedly told me ages ago that she was giving her daughter an Irish name and she couldn't wait for me to hear it. Around that same time her husband asked me if the name was actually Irish, and I said no. I also pointed out that the Irish middle name they did use was the American spelling and not one used back home. I didn't say anything to her because she never asked and I wasn't supposed to know the name. Apparently they argued over the name a lot, and he tried to convince her to stop saying it was Irish. Her daughter was born and she announced the name to us and the rest of their family. She had the name printed on a banner so the spelling of the middle was clear too. She talked about wanting an Irish name for her because of me. Her husband told her to stop saying it was Irish. She was so mad at him for claiming it wasn't and I jumped in. I said the first name was Scottish, not Irish, and that the middle name is not the Irish spelling or anything close to it. She went crazy and told me the name was Irish, that Irish and Scottish had the same stuff. I told her there was some overlap, sure, but we still had our own distinct names and the one she had chosen was clearly Scottish. Then she told me she chose the least dumb spelling for the middle. She is so pissed that I pointed this out to her. She's pissed at her husband for disagreeing with her in the first place. Drama has ensued and everybody is hearing about how shitty I am for trying to convince her that her daughter's Irish name isn't, in fact, Irish. AITA. Story 3. AITA for not allowing neither my MIL nor my husband's ex into my home when gathering a family event. My husband divorced his ex Elise 4 years ago. They share 6 twins. My 1049 is still hung up to Elise as her daughter-in-law. For some information, there was no cheating or anything. My husband divorced her because she decided she didn't want to work anymore after her maternity leave and my husband had to provide for all of them. He didn't like it and it ended their marriage. Elise is the one paying child support though, because my husband and I have the twins more than her. My 1049 is always asking me to include her as the mother of her grandchildren, as my husband's first love, that she's alone in this city, that all she does is work, but both my husband and I refuse. Recently, my husband just got a big promotion and is finally landing in the position of his dreams. I was so happy and proud of him, so I decided to host a small party with family as well as friends. I did warn MIL that Elise was no invited, and that if she dared to show up, I wasn't going to open the door. Well, my MIL had the audacity to show up with her as her +1 since Phil is not here anymore. I said this wasn't a wedding so they aren't +1, so I turned to Elise and said she should leave. But my MIL tried to walk past me and said, "Nonsense, we are already here. Move, girl." But I said no and I stood my ground. My MIL tried to play the "this was her house" card. But I just said it's mine now and she's not allowed in. She said if she's not allowed then I won't come either, and I was like K and closed the door. When going back to the kitchen my husband asked who it was. I tell him it was his mother and Elise. My Bill is like, did you close the door on my mother? And I said yes again. She demands I open it. That I'm a nobody. That it's not my call, and I say that he's allowed to leave with her if he doesn't like it, and he does. My husband doesn't get mad. Still enjoys the evening with the rest of his family and friends, but my MIL and Bill said I crossed a major line and that this won't go unforgiven.